Good afternoon, everybody. It's Jed Joling with eXp Realty here in Southern Oregon. Today is January 9th, Tuesday of 2024. Crazy to think that we already blew through 2023. So happy New Year. I hope you all had wonderful holidays with your family and friends. But we've got a lot to cover here. So we're going to go over what happened in 2023 as well as just December of 2023 itself, and just make some comparisons and of course go over our normal data. So this last week, the previous week, from 1/1 to 1/7, we're looking at the stats. So the new listing count for that week was 68 new listings. 18% of those new listings have already gone pending already, so a good start to the new year there. We had 53 pending listings that week, 61 closed and 25 off the market due to expired or canceled listing contracts. In comparison with the 4-week average, which will be a little bit funky because we had a couple weeks there of New Year's and Christmas, so obviously some pretty low numbers that would have lowered our 4-week average. But the new listing count was up 18.25 units on the 4-week average. The pending count was down 7.75 units compared to the 4-week average, and the closed count was up 9.25 units in comparison to the 4-week. In comparison to the same week last year, the new listings were up 21% for last week. Pending count was the same, 53 last year for the same week, 53 this year. And then for the closed count, it was also up 21% in comparison to that same week last year. Did miss that we do have 913 active single-family residential listings on the market today. In comparison to where we were last year, we were at 880, so we are up just 3.6% from then. All of this brings our inventory to 4.1 months right now, meaning that if we stopped all new listings, what we currently have on the market would last us 4.1 months at the current rate that homes are selling and closing. The mortgage rates today for a conventional 30-year fixed, the national average is 6.8%. That's up a little bit from where we ended last year. Our FHA 30-year fixed is at 6.2% for the national average. And in comparison to where those were a year ago, the conventional was at 6.14% and the FHA was at 5.82%. So we're still a little bit higher than where we were a year ago today. All around activity should start picking up here more towards the end of the month, and going into February. Last year activity ticked up quite a bit in the beginning of February and going through the middle of it. So we're hoping that we're going to see that same trend over the next couple of weeks. Now we're going to jump into our December stats for December of 2023 for Jackson County. So for Jackson County, our average cumulative days on market in December was 55 days. Our average sell to list price ratio was 94%, meaning that if you listed your home, say for $100,000, on average, it would sell for $94,000. That's an average, of course. Then we're going to go ahead and look at our Josephine County stats. For cumulative days on market, our average was 87 days in December, so that's up a little bit. And then our average sell to list ratio was 92%. Now I'm going to go ahead and jump into year to date. So all of 2022 in comparison to all of 2023. We're going to go with the median sold price for Jackson County in 2023. This is year to date, so all the way from January to December, through December. It was $420,000 for 2023. And then going back for 2022, for Jackson County still, it was $430,000. So it was just $10,000 more for that median sold price in 2022 versus 2023. For the average sold price in 2023 for Jackson County, we were at $481,000. And in 2022, we were at $488,000. So just a little bit of a difference there as well between 22 and 23. Now jumping over to Josephine County for the year to date, January to December, median sold price in 2023 was $387,000. And in 2022, it was $400,000 even. So we saw a bit of a decline there. And then our average sold price in for Josephine County in 2023 was $429,000 versus $445,000 in 2022. So safe to say, in Jackson County, we saw those values come down 1.9%, was the overall average there in doing those numbers, and so just about 2%, and then about 3.5% there in Josephine County. Now, of course, those are just as a whole, looking at the whole picture of 2022 versus 2023. We obviously had a major slowdown this last year in 2023 compared to 2022. That was obvious. A lot of agents had to bow out of the market because the trade was feeling that hit because there just wasn't as much business to go around. Interest rates obviously played the biggest role in that when they shot up from the high 2s and low 3s all the way up to over 8%. And speaking of which, last year for a conventional rate, the lowest we saw last year for the national average was 5.99%, and then the highest we saw was 8.03%. And then for FHA was the lowest was 5.36%, and the highest was 7.44%. So obviously much higher rates than we saw in 2022, at least the beginning of 2022, when they were still down around 3% before the Fed started doing their thing and starting to fight against inflation, which they are still fighting. So big difference between 2022 and 2023. Market slowed down a lot this last year. It was obvious. I think everyone that has eyes could see that. And we're going to go over right now what that actually looked like in translation of numbers. So number of homes sold in 2023 for Jackson County was 2,533 homes. Now this is in the residential single family category, so not including some of the other things such as like a residential income like duplexes and things like that. This is single family residential. So 2,533 homes sold, and that was down 25.6% in comparison to 2022. And as far as the dollar amount sold for Jackson County, that translated into $1,191,855,000, and that was down 28.4% in 2023 in comparison to 2022. And then jumping over to Josephine County, didn't break 1,000 homes sold in Josephine County, not in the residential single family category anyway. We were at 974 homes sold, and that was down 22.7% from 2022. And in translating that to dollars, that was $444,868,000 sold, and that was down almost 21% from the numbers of 2022. So obviously a big difference in number of homes sold and the total amount of dollars sold. So that makes a difference, certainly. A couple of things left. That's pretty much all I have for stats, but a couple of listings here I just wanted to highlight. I've got a new listing going on the market on Thursday this week. It's out in Cave Junction off Caves Highway, about a half mile out of town, but it is still in the city limits. It's 9.5 acres, zoned single family residential. It's got subdivision potential, splittable. It's flat, forested. There is a power pole on the property that you could easily pull power from. So that's a great opportunity there if somebody's looking for doing a few homes with family or wants to go in and do a subdivision. It's got massive potential for that. Also another one out here in Rogue River, 1750 Pleasant Creek Road, 3-bedroom, 1-bath, manufactured home, 880 square feet. It's on 2 flat acres. It's got a good well. It does about 12 gallons a minute, last tested. Financeable home through one of the local banks here, Evergreen, Rogue. You could also go to Advantage Mortgage for lending on that. It's just under 15 minutes to the town of Rogue River. So that's a great piece of property too. That one is listed at $240,000, and then the Cave Junction one I had mentioned previous, that's listed at $235,000. So both great pieces of property there. Well, that's all I've got here for today's market update. As always, thank you for all those who watch and share my videos. I really appreciate it, and I also want to say thank you to everyone that's passing my name around because that makes my business go a lot further, and I really appreciate that as well. So we'll talk to you here again next week. Until then, hopefully you can weather the storm that's apparently coming, and we'll see you then. Thanks.